guys, what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. And welcome to today's video, which is the November Candyland Picks My TBR, which is a TBR game I play every month based on the Candyland board. Each color corresponds to a prompt. Some prompts have additional prompts, for example, to pick out from a jar. Others are more straightforward. I will leave the color chart here for a couple of seconds if you guys are new and want to familiarize with it. Also, I do have a playlist, so if you want to go back to the beginning to understand the rules better, you can, but it's very, very easy to follow along. I also wanted to say that next month will be a very special edition of my TBR game. It will not be Candyland Picks My TBR, but we're rather going to play a Christmas game and pick our TBRs from that. It's going to be very exciting. A first time on my channel. Subscribe if you don't want to miss it. I am doing pretty well on my October TBR. I feel like it's the 1 month I've really been sticking to my TBR. However, it is humongous. And so at this time currently filming, there's like a week left of October and I'm not done. So instead of starting at the original 5 spins, we're going to add 1 and go to 6. And as always, if I spin the same color 3 times, we add an extra spin. Let's go on to spin number 1. Spin number 1 brought us to a double yellow. However, when I moved to that double yellow, it ended up being a food item, and when I land on a food item, whether that be through a spin or on the board directly, I get a free pick, and so I can ignore the yellow prompt. And for this first spin, I therefore decided to go with Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This is a literary fiction novel that I have purchased a few months back, and I've been saying, like, I need to read this before the end of the year. This feels like a November book, and so I'm happy it's working out and I get to put it on my TBR. This is a dual perspective narrative that follows a woman who loses her husband, and after that loss she starts working in an aquarium as a night shift cleaner, and she forms this bond with this octopus who we also follow through its captivity. And I believe the octopus is there and will help the woman grieve through like the loss of her husband, and that's kind of how their bond forms. I think this will be incredibly touching and beautiful, but also probably want to make me cry. I don't do well with books that I like sob at, so I tend not to put sad books on my TBR, but I feel like one throughout the month I can handle. So yes, I'm very excited for this. I've seen people like show this book, but I've never seen anyone actually reviewing it, so I cannot wait to be able to share my thoughts in my weekly reading vlogs for this one. Moving on to spin number 2. Number 2 was yet again yellow, double yellow, which is concerning. But the actual prompt for yellow is the F1 readathon jar. I've spoken about this readathon multiple times if you want to refer back to it in my previous videos. The prompt I picked for this one was to read the shortest book on your TBR. I'll be quite frank, technically the shortest book on my TBR is Hex by Jenny Fagan. However, this is also literary fiction. It's about women in 1951 in December, and it's essentially the last night of a woman before she gets the death penalty for being a witch in that time period, and another woman from the future goes back to visit her. And I know this book will be super interesting. However, I've been putting it off because I feel like, again, this is going to be emotional and I'm not sure I'm ready for it. Like, it's small, but I'm fearing it's going to pack a big punch, and so I am very hesitant to pick it up. But technically this is what fits the prompt, so this is what is going to go on the TBR. Moving on to spin number 3, where I hope we don't get some more yellow. screen, which is to pick a random prompt from the jar. And as you could have seen by the previous clips, the prompt I got was special edition. For that, I'm going to go with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is a book I have actually started. This is the special edition from Fairy Loot that I was able to get. I am listening to this via audiobook and I'm currently 50 pages in, so I will be continuing this in the month of November. It is the perfect autumnal book and I'm very excited. This is a book that follows Emily Wilde, and she basically has spent her life researching fae to write an encyclopedia about them, and she is like at one of the last fae populations she needs to study before being able to publish, and we follow her journey through that. I think there is a love interest named, what is his name? Wendell Bamblebee, and it's them in the end papers. The audiobook so far is absolutely amazing. I've spoken about this in one of my previous vlogs, but I have not continued with it, so this is on the TBR. Moving on to spin number 4. Spin number 4 brought us to Red. Red is indie, and for that I decided to go with Star-Crossed Letters by Sarah Daham. I'm not really sure how you pronounce the author's last name. This is a book I saw one TikTok video of and immediately purchased, and I haven't done this in a while, and honestly I am so incredibly excited for this. This is a dual perspective novel, and it has basically every single trope that I love to my core. If you want to know me as a reader, these are the tropes I look for. It essentially follows a girl who works as a barista and a celebrity, and they are pen pals, anonymous pen pals. They don't know about each other, and I think she essentially ghosts him at a certain point. I don't know why, and he goes to find her, and essentially I think they have this in real life friendship, or at least, you know, encounters, but they're also pen pals, and she doesn't know but he knows. It's a whole thing. Honestly, it's like all of my favorite tropes: dual perspective, anonymous, celebrity trope. Like, you cannot find a book that corresponds more to me than such a book, maybe aside from like Sunny Disposition, which literally hit every single trope. So I am incredibly excited for this. Is the cover a little bit cheesy? Absolutely. I do not care. I think this is going to be such a hit, and I haven't been excited for a romance like I am for this one in a really long time. So I can feel the 5-star radiating from this book. Moving on to spin number 5. Actually completed the game. So we have completed yet another round of Candyland, which means I get to give myself a treat. Usually I buy myself a book, however I've been restricting my book buying to more like special editions. So instead of buying a book, I thought I'd play swapsies with my TBR. We are going to get rid of Hex by Jenny Fagan, not from my entire TBR, but just this month, because I am not in the mood for this, and I don't think it would, like, it wouldn't value the book. And so we're going to get rid of this and instead act like it was a free pick, and I'm going to replace it with Eva Evergreen's Semi-Magical Witch by Julie Abe. This will be my November pick for my middle grade book club. If you have not seen the announcement video for that, I will leave it in the cards and all the information in the description. The announcement for the November and December picks should be coming your way soon. The poll is very much fluctuating at the moment for the December book, but November is staying strong, and so it will be Eva Evergreen. This is a middle grade book about a witch, so I am incredibly excited. I've heard nothing but great things. There's like animal companions in here. It sounds very whimsical. It's the first book in a series, and so I will be reading this. If you want to participate in my middle grade book club, as always, as I said, information will be in the cards. Just know that the first book that was picked was The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud, and that is the first book in the Lockwood & Co series, and the live show for that is on November 4th on my channel. the live show for Eva Evergreen will obviously be at the beginning of December. So I'm excited to be able to get my book club pick into this TBR. So with all that being said, spin number 5 fell on purple, and purple is one of my most read genres. That is either middle grade or romance. For this month, I will be going with yet another middle grade book because that's what I'm in the mood for. And I will be reading the 6th Pages & Co book, and this is the final book in the series, which makes me very sad, and I've been putting it off because what am I gonna do afterwards, you know? Like, who am I without Tilly and all her friends? If you haven't heard me speak of the series, I'm assuming you're new, so hello. Pages & Co essentially follows a main character named Tilly who has the ability to book wander, and that means that she can go into books or bring book characters out of books and into the real world. And along the story, essentially, we follow Tilly. At first, she is looking for her mother who is missing. She currently lives with her grandparents in a bookstore. It's wonderful. And through the story, things kind of spiral and we go on this big adventure. We solve kind of like little plots throughout the books, but then there's this overlying plot line that kind of goes through. The first 3 books mainly follow Tilly, and then the last 3 follow another character who was named Oscar and his storyline. However, we do still see Tilly and her friend Milo as well. Is that right? Do we follow Oscar or Milo? I always like mix up their names. We follow one of them. I can never remember, but just know I cherish this series a lot, and I read physically because there are beautiful illustrations throughout these books as such, but I also listen to the audiobooks because they are just the perfect amount of whimsy. Moving on to spin number 6, which will hopefully be our last for this month. Number 6 ended up being pink, which is free pick because, again, we have food. I've never gotten so lucky with a TBR before. I've never had a TBR that was so flexible. But for this last one, you know how I love polls. We're gonna do a poll pick. I'm gonna put it up on my community tab. You can either answer in the comments or go vote on that tab to help a girl out. We are going to pick a romance. So I'm gonna just quickly show you the four picks for this month. The first is Tutoring the Player by Rebecca Genshark. I always want to say Genshark. I feel like this would be a really fun one. This is a dual perspective hockey romance where the main female character tutors the main male character who's a hockey player. Sounds adorable. I think I would love it. Then we have the first book in this series, which is, I never remember the name of the series, by Candy Steiner. These are football romances. This is Fair Catch. It says all is fair in love and football. It is the first in the series. I have all 4 of them now, which I'm so happy about. It is dual perspective. I don't know the tropes. Oh, I just noticed there's the roommate trope in this, which it makes it so much better. So there's that. Then we have another Rebecca Genshark book, which is Wildcat. This is yet another hockey romance. This was actually gifted to me by Amélie at Amélie Boucher, who used to have a YouTube channel. She hasn't posted in a while, but she's a great booktube friend. This, again, hockey romance. I think it's kind of forbidden because it's the coach's daughter, that trope. And then something a little bit different is Rewrite Our Story by Kat Singleton. This is a small town romance, and if you've been here for a while, you know my history with Kat Singleton. I gave one of her books 5 stars and another one 1 star in the same series. So I'm very ambivalent about how I feel about her, but this is the first in her small town series and I would love to read it. So please go and vote or tell me in the comments which of these 4 books I should pick for my romance. So I think that's pretty much it for this month. I'm not participating in any readathons, and there's nothing really going on aside from my own book club that I'm partaking in, so it's a very soft month, and having such a short TBR will mean that I'm a little bit more flexible in my reading and the kind of extra vlogs I want to film and post. So if we do a little recap, this is my TBR plus one of the 4 romance books. So we have Remarkably Brave Creatures, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fae, Star-Crossed Letters, Eva Evergreen, and Pages & Co. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon with another one. Bye guys, happy reading.